Welcome, Dr. Shayne here, and I want to introduce you to Dr. Derrick Reynolds. He's the director of Genomics at Nutribiome, and that is part of the Alimentum systemic family. And the reason I want to go and introduce you to what we've been working on is because Derrick is part of the team that has developed the nutrigenomic platform that we're introducing to everyone, and it's a really powerful tool to gain insights into our genetics and most importantly, the genetics that can be used to refine and improve our response to food, supplements, a lot of the trace elements that we need in our genetics. Absolutely gives us the power to look into this more deeply. It's very important for clinicians because it can redefine many of the approaches that they need in their clinic to help drive interesting and more specific health into each patient. Now, with that being said, I want to let Derrick kind of walk you through the process that we've developed, and there's going to be tutorial videos available allowing you to learn the process as you're doing it with each client. And it's an immense amount of information, but it's being simplified and it becomes a really amazing tool as you'll see.
Yeah, so we're excited to bring the MyDNA report to the systemic family. This report covers over 1,500 markers across 140 categories that can help a patient really determine what the genetic weaknesses may be, problems that may be going unseen right now, but that are discoverable and may help prevent things that can happen.
Indeed. And I think that's one of the powers of this is these genetics are, they're a blueprint, they're a static bit of information, so we can always look back at them to see how not only it's impacting their health span, their, troubles they're facing, whether it be from dietary interventions or supplements, exposures. Detoxification is a big category that we cover in the panel. But as a clinician, you can go back to these things over and over again because genetically we don't change. And so you can navigate each section over time.
Exactly. And each one of these, we're going to call them mutations in your DNA. They can cause processes that should be behaving normally to function, but only function at like 50% or 20%. And so what you end up with is a system that you don't die from, but you definitely aren't feeling very great.
Yeah.
Things like the methylation pathway is popular. I'm sure people have heard about it, but maybe scared to ask what is it or how does it work. There is a certain gene called the MTHFR gene that a lot of people are starting to cite and talk about how there are so many people that have problems with methylation because of this gene. Our test identifies that gene and its mutations, but also every gene within the methylation pathway. A lot of tests don't check every gene in that pathway.
Yeah, because it's I think as nutrigenomics and in particular the methylation pathway has made it into our nutritional / wellness model, it's really being underrepresented from a informational standpoint or a marketing standpoint, where it's actually a complex pathway and it's a lot more than just that single gene. And that's why when we built that part of our panel, we included the various enzymes that are involved in the multi-step or the multifactorial piece of the methylation pathway.
Right. And so our test right now, it doesn't fully identify or at least describe which step is broken, but it will tell you the entire pathway. There's something wrong here. So make it a little simpler to understand so that you can then address the problem without getting too specific, too confusing. So in this case, we'll look for impaired methylation pathway, and they'll either have a high priority on that or a low priority, or they may even be a superpower on that.
Yeah. And that's how we build a lot of this. There's enough detail that we can dig in for those of you that are really interested in the genetics and the implications at a genetic level, but it's also built to allow you to assess it rapidly and then build from that your protocols, whether, and there's dietary as well as supplement and so forth. So we've built it in both ways, hoping to kind of bridge that gap. And you'll in the report, and Derrick has done a number of videos that you can also look at that kind of go through that report. And then from there, we can move that on to the recommendation part. And so as a system, it's beautiful, but it also integrates. So we have the systemic and Alimentum piece that offers the DNA kit and then the recommendations, but the laboratory and all of the science has gone, but going on behind the scenes is actually done through NutriBiome, which is it's just a laboratory that does all kinds of amazing work for us, but it is part of the family. So there's actually two websites that will need to be accessed: Alimentum Systemic to get the kit and the recommendations at the end. NB Results is where we'll go to get the data, the sequencing data to download and start to use in your clinic.
That's right. So the data, all of it's fully there. We've taken it and made it more simple so as not to be overwhelmed. Like I said, there's already 1,500 right now, and we plan on updating that on a regular basis. The other thing that I wanted to mention about the test is, as a whole genome test, the reason we're able to add more information is because we already have all of the information. Now we're just going through and deciphering which are the most important pieces to deliver to you.
Yeah. Once this is working, you're also going to be getting a lot of educational bites, so to speak, on the various genes. We're going to start creating more information, Derrick and I, and we might involve others. So always check back with us or check back to the website and our social media, because we want to continue to educate on panels, on certain SNPs, on enzymes, on the impact to our health. And as we take that journey, it's going to allow you to then improve from your clinical standpoint, integrating this test into your clinics and becoming successful with it, because we have put about 3 years into it now.
Right.
And so we're very invested in it, and it's going to be part of a bigger picture as we move into the microbiome testing later. So it's super exciting, and I'm hoping you guys really join us on this process.
Yeah, we're excited to bring this test to you, and like we said, there are several more forthcoming.
Yeah. Right on. Thanks.